I can't believe I'm saying this, but I finally completed a Dream Team quest on my original childhood Pokemon Ruby game. I found 6 specific shiny Pokemon to form this team. These are Pokemon that either mean a lot to me or whose shiny versions I just absolutely adore. I love completing a playthrough of a Pokemon game with at least one shiny in my team. A whole team of shinies though? It's such an ambitious and daunting quest, but I knew it would be so rewarding and satisfying to undergo this challenge, and on my favorite Pokemon game no less. This is why in November 2024, I decided to take on the Dream Team quest and have a team of all shinies on my very own childhood copy of Pokemon Ruby. I'm going to preface this by saying, even though I decided to do an all shiny playthrough in November 2024, I actually found my first ever shiny on the save file way before that time. Around 2023, I suddenly had this urge to replay Ruby with a special shiny starter, so I decided to restart my game to try to get my hands on a shiny Mudkip. When I was a kid, my first starter was a female Mudkip, and boy did she carry my whole team through. Not only did she win us the Elite Four title, she would also go on to being a Pokemon contest champion and the first ever Pokemon I trained to level 100, so she meant a whole lot to me. At some point later in life, I did decide to restart that game to play through Ruby again with fresh eyes. I'll get to that a bit later in this video, but needless to say, I lost my prized level 100 Swampert, which is why I thought replaying Ruby with a shiny Swampert would be a great way to commemorate my fond memories of my first Ruby save and my level 100 Swampert. On the 29th of April 2023, Shiny Mudkip finally decided to shine. This took around 6 days. It definitely wasn't too long, and I remember finding it the week I started the hunt. I named him Beetroot because I thought it fits with its pink color palette. I also remember finding this shiny on my kitchen dining table while my twin sister was washing her dishes. My twin sister has her own copy of Sapphire, which she played alongside me growing up, so she knows how much this moment means to me. I thought that would be the end of my shiny hunting in this game. Once I find my shiny Mudkip, I would just do a normal playthrough with a special shiny on my team. Just relive the days of having my prized Swampert, this time a male shiny, by winning all the contest ribbons, having its picture painted in the museum, and beating the Elite Four and training it to level 100. But all of a sudden, in November 2024, I had other plans. I just completed my Pokemon Black Dream Team quest, and I never felt more motivated. I love looking back at all the amazing shinies I found, how long it took to find each shiny, and the stories that formed along the way. I felt so incredibly proud of this achievement. At that point though, I was already all the way in Fortree City and just received my 6th badge after defeating Winona. A huge part of me felt obligated to keep going because I thought it was too late, but I just kept having lingering thoughts. Should I really? Can I actually do it? Is it worth it, especially being this far ahead in the game? Then I thought, screw it. I want this to be special, and I know if I don't do it, I'll regret it one day. So yes, I was 6 badges in when I decided to start my Dream Team quest, but I was also only in my 6th gym after all, so I still had time to gather my own shiny team members before the Elite Four. I decided that for my second shiny team member, it would have to be at a location where I'd be happy with any shiny. This was why I chose to hunt at Fiery Path. I mean, look at this spread. All the possible shinies you can find here are so cool. If I were to rank them, my number 1 preference would be Torkoal, with my least wanted being Machop. But again, I'd be super happy with anyone here really. I started hunting on the 25th of November 2024. I was doing this on and off for at least 3 hours a day after work. On the 3rd of December, I reached about 5,000 random encounters. I was still under odds and the long holiday was right around the corner, so I kept feeling optimistic and determined that I would get something soon. Little did I know, this would be one of my longest shiny hunts to date. The 6th of December was my birthday and I thought it'd be great to find a shiny on this day. Alas, I did not. Hours turned into days, and days turned into weeks. At one point, I even did as much as over 1,000 encounters a day. I could tell my sisters were low-key becoming concerned over my obsession with trying to find just one shiny in this location. I was even beginning to feel paranoid that I'd miss a shiny along the way, seeing as how much time had passed. My older sister, who has never really understood shiny hunting, even went so far as to help me run around for a couple minutes in the hopes that maybe she had the lucky touch to end this for me once and for all. But unfortunately, nothing came about. I decided to break the monotony by doing a side hunt on my Soul Silver game, and even that game got a shiny first. I was simultaneously using an online calculator to count my encounters and recorded up to 12,000 encounters. But I stopped counting after this because I grew so tired of it and just wanted to focus on one thing at a time. Fast forward 1 month after starting my hunt, over 100 hours of running back and forth at Fiery Path. At 137 hours and 15 minutes of in-game time, I finally got something on Boxing Day on the 26th of December 2024. It was a beautiful blue humped numble. For a numb and complacent Pokemon, it sure knows how to frustrate me. Nonetheless, I was really happy to find her. She is a bashful girly who I named Sally and will evolve into a hardy Camerupt. I wouldn't be surprised if I hit 20 to 30,000 random encounters for this shiny, but she was worth it. It's kind of funny because the way I found shiny Numel would sort of be a recurring trend in my later hunts. My partner spontaneously decided to go out and run errands on this day. Just as he was heading out, the shiny Numel appeared. I was so excited that I texted my sisters in our group chat to share the momentous occasion. They were just glad it was all over and I could finally move on. My next hunt would be at Route 119, home to where my childhood secret base was, the one surrounded by tall grass. In this route, I wanted to find a shiny Zigzagoon. I've always wanted to own the shiny Zigzagoon line. I think shinies Ziggy and Linoon are gorgeous and really underrated. I was also secretly hoping to get a shiny Tropius here, which is one of the rarer ones at 9%, as a reclaim of the shiny Tropius I lost when I was a kid. I wasn't sure if I wanted to commit to this hunt though, seeing as how low its odds are. Having these two targets on vastly different parts of the spectrum was really daunting, and I really didn't want to go through another drought like I did with shiny Numel. But Tropius is one of my favorite Pokemon, and also the first ever shiny I found as a kid. Also, I was happy with the options in this route. I thought phasing wouldn't be the worst thing in the world because all the shinies do look pretty cool. Kecleon would be a dream, but who am I kidding with its 1% chance? I started my hunt as soon as I found shiny Numel in December 2024. I would not find another shiny until the next year on the 27th of January 2025, but I was taking my time with this one as I was distracted with work in real life. After 5 hours of in-game time, on hour 142 and 34 minutes, I found a shiny male Zigzagoon that I named Brocktree. My partner helped come up with this name as this is one of his favorite titles in the Redwall series. I did read this book a few months later, and out of the 3 Redwall books I've read, this is unfortunately my least favorite, but I still found the book enjoyable. Brocktree the shiny Zigzagoon was the first shiny of 2025, which I found on my newly modded Game Boy Advance SP. It was a relatively quick hunt, just what I needed considering the nightmare at Fiery Path. Brocktree is a lax boy and I was super happy to find him. I would keep going in hopes of a shiny Tropius. During the first half of 2025, work was super hectic, so I didn't have much downtime nor the motivation to shiny hunt, hence the large gap in my next shiny hunts. Whenever I got home from work, I would just eat, shower, then go straight to bed. This would go on until around May to June 2025. 1 month later though, on the 28th of February 2025, I found something. After about 25 hours of in-game time, on hour 167 and 28 minutes, I found yet another Zigzagoon. I named him Boar because I just finished reading Mossflower, which is still my favorite one in the series today. I later learned that Boar was sassy-natured, which is super funny because that is certainly not the wise and stoic fighter I know from the books. A few days later, on the 3rd of March 2025, after around 9 hours of in-game time, on hour 176 and 38 minutes, I faced on a third shiny Zigzagoon, but this time she was female. I was super ecstatic since I've always wanted to name a female Zigzagoon after my favorite badass badger character from the Redwall books, Constance. She is serious-natured, which is very fitting for her. Then, on the 13th of April 2025, as if the shiny Zigzagoon love wasn't enough, another Zigzagoon decided to show up on hour 222 and 10 minutes, which is about 46 hours of in-game time after Constance. The drought was slowly starting to creep up again, it seems. I was running out of badger names at this point, so I decided to name her Stardust. I did not pick the game back up until May 2025, another long break since work was just non-stop. I felt burnt out, but on this month, I was suddenly super committed to finding shiny Tropius. I knew in my heart that I wanted my Tropius back. I was determined I would keep going despite the number of phases I know I'd face in finding my rare friend. I even decided to borrow my twin sister's Sapphire cartridge to double hunt. The reason I held off from double hunting for so long is because I don't fully know how I would react to finding a shiny Tropius in my sister's copy. I think I'd feel pretty disappointed, and I don't know, it wouldn't really feel the same as finding a shiny in my original copy. In the end, I accepted it anyway because I just really wanted to see shiny Tropius again. I carefully set up my hunt on both games to include a level 26 Illuminator Chillhop, obtained a white flute on each game, and tried my hands on doing the repel trick for the first time ever. This would change the odds of finding Oddish to 35%, Zigzagoon to 25%, and Tropius to 12%, a whopping 3% boost, which was really nice. As much as I love Zigzagoon, I could definitely do with less of them, and since I have yet to find a shiny Oddish, I thought these odds were perfect. This put me straight back into the mood of shiny hunting, and I felt unstoppable. On the 17th of May 2025, 2 days after my setup, I found my first shiny Oddish. Not on my personal Ruby though, it was on my sister's Sapphire. I didn't have a nickname prepared for it, although I was recently watching the Last of Us TV show with my partner, so the name Cordyceps came to mind, which is why I decided to name him Corey. Not gonna lie, I would have very easily missed him if I was not paying attention to the game. My childhood Game Boy's dim screen was very unhelpful in this instance, but thankfully I saw it pause on screen, which triggered my attention before seeing the sparkles. Because this was found in my sister's game, I thought it'd be nice to swap shiny for shiny. Seeing as I have a bajillion shiny Zigzagoons, I'd trade one of them for shiny Oddish. I sought my sister's blessing and said my goodbyes to Stardust the Shining Zigzagoon and welcomed Corey to my Ruby file. Oh, also, Stardust the Shining Zigzagoon is lonely-natured, so I am pleased to have traded it to my sister knowing she will have a beautiful forever home with her. I was even more pumped at this stage. It's a good sign to be double hunting, I thought. I will wake up early the next day to continue hunting and hope for the best. The 18th of May was a beautiful Sunday morning. I was 2 hours into my shiny hunting session when something unbelievable happened. I finally found her. After all these years, I am finally reunited with my shiny tropical dino. The bright green and golden colors have never looked better. I was simply speechless. And I was shaking so hard. I quickly unplugged my phone from its charger and took as many pictures as I could so it could be immortalized in my photo album forever. A quick little backstory. Tropius was the first ever shiny I found as a kid in my Ruby game. I decided I wanted to transfer her to my Pearl game, which was on an R4 cart, just to see what she would look like in Gen 4. One day, my mom was clearing the R4 cart to make way for new games. I gave her the okay to delete all the games in the cart but totally forgot Tropius was in there. And just like that, she was gone forever. This was about 10 years ago, and it was this reason that made me decide to delete my original Ruby save file to start anew. But it really did not feel the same playing with no special member on my team. I defeated the Elite Four and all, but it wasn't special and felt empty. I was slowly regretting the decision of starting this new save file, which is why I decided to delete the game once again so I can at least have my original starter in its shiny form as part of the team. At the beginning of this year, when my dedication to replay Ruby with an all-shiny team was at an all-time high, I decided I also wanted to give my best shot at reclaiming my shiny Tropius and have her as part of my team again. As I said at the beginning of this chapter, I didn't know if I could fully commit to this, seeing as her encounter rate was so low. It felt impossible, but if childhood me could do it, then I'm sure adult me could too. So 4 Zigzagoons and 1 Oddish later, she is finally here, same gender, albeit a different ball. I like to think she was released back into the wild when my Pearl save file was deleted, and somewhere in that time, she was able to find her way back to me again. I named her Tempeh after my favorite Indonesian food because I love a good golden brown tempeh, and they usually come wrapped in banana leaves. To celebrate, my partner and I went out for lunch at a delicious Lebanese restaurant just around the corner. It was so good and so satisfying. In July 2025, when I found out my sister was going to have a layover in Singapore, I knew I had a special request to make. I thought to myself that if I had to choose just one plush out of a whole wall of them, it would be Tropius. So that was what my sister did. She took the time to look for a sitting cutie of Tropius and brought her home safe to me. She also kindly got me a finger puppet of Tropius when she attended an art convention. I cannot be happier with having these guys right now, and I am in disbelief that I have these tangible forms of Tropius. I love this mini collection so much. My next hunt would actually still be at Route 119. I seem to never want to leave this place, but that's just what happens when everything you can find here have such nice looking shinies. My target would be shiny Kecleon, which was hiding next to the boy disguised as a tree in this particular area. Because a wild Kecleon is an impossible 1%, I knew I would overcome this by self-resetting for 1 instead. I immediately started this hunt the day I got shiny Tropius. I was really excited about the idea of having a shiny Kecleon on my team. It'd be such a great addition. After a whopping 3 months later, after Safari Week and many countless hours of shiny hunting, I am happy to report I finally found the blue streak reptile. I named him Gumball because shiny Kecleon in Gen 3 has a blue tongue which does get lost in the later games sadly. Funnily enough, I found shiny Kecleon while sipping on my chameleon mug. I just love chameleons and reptiles in general, so I am beyond happy to have him on my team. Oh, and I also found shiny Kecleon as my partner was leaving the house for a job, which is like a throwback to my numble.
Yeah, baby. Bye.
Okay, good luck.
Yeah, cheers.
See you later.
See you.
Oh my god, I found it! I found a shiny!
This one's got to live!
Oh,
oh my
yeah,
god!
This one!
No way!
Yes!
Oh my god, he looks like a punk!
We can finally leave Route 119, which has been my home for the past 8 months or so. I was so excited to start an easier hunt this time round. My next target would be another water type which is only obtainable through surfing. That Pokemon is Tentacool. In the Hoenn games, Tentacool is usually one of 3 Pokemon you can find by surfing almost anywhere. It has the highest encounter odds of 60%, with Wingull following behind it at 30% and Pelipper being the rarest at 5%. If you watched my shiny ranking video for Pokemon X, I briefly mentioned that Tentacool and Tentacruel are some of my favorite Pokemon ever. They have such cool designs, and I think their shiny colors are so gorgeous and beyond underrated. It's always been a dream of mine to find their shinies in a Gen 3 game. I love the green gems on their heads that replace the red. They remind me of underwater emeralds, like gems of the sea. I started my hunt on the 4th of September. Cue the vaults, because my location for this hunt was in the waters of Lily Cove City, where the land ends and the sea begins. I was taking my time with this hunt and only doing it on the weekends. On the 13th of September, I surprisingly faced on something. It was a beautiful green Wingull. I really didn't expect this because Wingull is not as common as Tentacool, so I was pleasantly surprised. I caught him in a nest ball and named him Green Tea. I love the green streaks on its wings. I think it's a very elegant shiny. During the next weekend, I decided to go hard on my hunting. I had a good feeling something will show up, and that definitely paid off. I was so giddy when Tentacool showed up. That whirring noise in the background was my partner starting the vacuum up just as shiny Tentacool appeared. Once again, another funny throwback to how Numble and Kecleon appeared for me. And with that, my dream team has been achieved. Well, almost. I still needed to evolve my newly found shinies, train them up, and defeat the last 2 gym leaders. Since I was at Lily Cove, my next mission was to defeat my rival Brandon as well. So I began leveling up and EV training my new team of shinies. Swampert already had his EVs sorted, and most of Camerup's EVs have also been trained, so I went ahead and focused on the others. Here was my plan with what their EV spreads would look like. Feel free to skip if you're not interested. For Swampert, because it's timid, which is not ideal, I had to find a way to make use of this. I saw someone online had a bulky water-type Pokemon that was timid, except their Pokemon was a Walrein, and they seemed to have done well with this very extensive EV spread, so this was how Beetroot was trained. Cameron was another curly one. Because she is bashful, one of her best stats, which is special attack, gets neutralized. So I tried my best to distribute its EVs by doing 80 on attack and 176 on special attack. The remaining EVs would go to her HP. Sally will be an offensive team member, and while her move pool mostly consists of physical attacks, I wanted to make use of her one stab fire type move as well. For Brocktree the Linoon, his EVs are a bit more straightforward. He is lax, and so this only affects his less useful stats anyway. With that, I decided to max its HP and attack stats, then putting the remainder on speed. Next is Tempe the Tropius. She is hardy-natured, which doesn't affect any of her useful stats, but she is a bulky Pokemon by default, so I decided to max her HP and defense, with a bit of special defense. Gumball is brave-natured, and since that boosts attack, I decided to max his HP and attack. The rest would go to special defense. Finally, we have the runt of the group, Jellybean the Tentacruel. She is hardy-natured, so none of her useful stats are affected. I decided to max her HP and special defense, with the rest going to speed. I didn't realize how much I overworked my Pokemon with EV training because they were way over leveled by the time we battled Brendan. Needless to say, that went pretty well, so we carried on to the Magma hideout. I was finally playing the story once again after a year's worth of doing nothing but shiny hunting. It's nice to take a breather and actually enjoy the game for its story. Then we reached Moss Deep City, where the 7th gym leaders were. They were some of my favorite gym leaders growing up because I'm a twin myself. Anyway, we successfully defeated them and earned ourselves the Mine Badge. Made the obligatory Groudon encounter, who was slowly destroying my team members one by one, and successfully defeated Wallace to obtain the Rain Badge. From here on, it was just a lot of level grinding. My go-to method for this was to ride back and forth between routes 117 and 118 to have a chance at rebattling trainers over and over again. My favorites were the Guitarist and Aruma Lady, who have a pretty powerful team and helped a lot with EXP points. On Route 117, I liked the 2 trainers that had a party full of random Pokemon. Once all my team members reached level 55, that was when I felt confident we could go through Victory Road and consider taking on the Elite Four. But before we could leave Victory Road, we were stopped by Wally for a final battle. Since my Pokemon are pretty overleveled, he was easy to take on. Once I reached the Pokemon League, I made sure I had everything I needed to give myself the best chance at winning. Like in my Pokemon Black quest, I gave myself a few rules. 1, I cannot heal during battle, and 2, if a Pokemon faints, then they can no longer battle that Elite Four. I can, however, heal after the whole battle is over and the fainted Pokemon can participate in the next battle. I needed all the encouragement I could get, so I called on some cheerleaders to cheer me on during the battle. I had my Tropius doll, this adorable crochet tentacle plush my sister got for me, and my finger puppets of Tropius and Tentacruel, basically my team members in real life. Here's also a snapshot of what my team looks like and the items they're holding. Jellybean is holding a Sea Incense because Surf hits hard in Gen 3 and it's a stab move. Gumball holds a Silk Scarf because Gumball is surprisingly one of the best physical attackers in the team, and I wanted to boost his stab normal type move on top of this. Beetroot is holding a Mystic Water because he only knows mostly water type moves. You'll also notice that Beetroot is the only underleveled team member. I'll leave that up to your imagination as to why, but I do believe Beetroot will still contribute well to the Elite Four battles. Tempe holds a Miracle Seed because honestly, I didn't really know what else to give her, and since she knows Magical Leaf, then I suppose it would boost her stab move. Sally holds a Charcoal, once again for stab move purposes. I think I was running out of ideas in terms of health items because with Brocktree holding a Lax Incense, I thought it'd be fun to use, but I wouldn't say it helped massively during battle. And with that, we are ready to take on the Elite Four. I knew we were starting off with Sydney, the Dark-type Elite Four, so I decided to lead off with Tentacruel to play it safe, seeing as most of his Pokemon wouldn't be able to hurt Jellybean much. I felt I made the right decision because I keep forgetting about Jellybean's Clear Body ability, which means Midiana's Intimidate didn't do anything. I started off with Sludge Bomb, and it didn't hit quite as hard, which allowed Midiana to land a takedown on Jellybean. I was still able to end it with another Sludge Bomb. Next up is Shiftry. I thought this was going to be an easy kill with Sludge Bomb, but it was also at this moment that I realized I only had 10 PP on Sludge Bomb, so I needed to preserve that because Sludge Bomb could come in handy. Next is Cacturn, so I decided to switch to Sally the Camera, especially with the type advantage. Cacturn outsped and was able to Leech Seed Sally. Still, Sally was able to one-shot Cacturn with an easy flamethrower, making the Leech Seed redundant. Next up is Sharpedo, so I decided to switch to Tempeh for her chance to shine. She easily one-shot a Sharpedo with a Magical Leaf, and I couldn't be more proud. Absol was next in line. I wanted someone else to be in the spotlight, so I decided to bring out Kecleon. Absol started with a Swords Dance, which made me slightly nervous. I really hoped Gumball's Slash would make the one-shot kill, but only got so close. Absol healed with its Citrus Berry, which is actually pretty ideal because that way Sydney wouldn't be as obliged to completely heal Absol with a full restore. Absol used Snatch, and I don't exactly know what that move does, but it allowed Kecleon to end the battle with a final slash. With Sydney out of the way, it's time to move on to my personal favorite Elite Four, Phoebe. Maybe it's the beautiful purple robe she has, or just her simple but distinctive design. I think as a kid, I thought she had wings on the sides of her face based on her pixel sprite. Obviously now I know they're flowers, but I've just always been smitten by her. Anyway, the first Pokemon she sent out was Dusclops. I decided to lead with Brocktree, which may not have been the best idea. I may have underestimated Brocktree's attack or Dusclops' defense, because Brocktree's Shadow Ball barely did half damage. Dusclops used Future Sight, which wasn't the worst thing in the world. I decided to go for Thunderbolt, just to give it a bit of damage without letting Phoebe heal. Dusclops proceeded to land a Confuse Ray, which got Brocktree confused. I was meant to use Shadow Ball, but my Butterfingers pressed Slash by accident, which made me miss a turn. I was cringing so much at that, but luckily Dusclops used Future Sight again, which failed. While Future Sight went through, Brocktree took it like a champ and was finally able to end Dusclops with Shadow Ball. Since Bayonet is next, I decided to use Sally just to see what she can do. I went for a Flamethrower and that was able to take Bayonet down easily. I was really impressed by Sally's power, so when Dusclops was next, I decided to keep Sally on. We went for another Flamethrower, and while that didn't completely take Dusclops out, we were able to manage a burn, which was really helpful considering Dusclops went for Earthquake next. It wasn't strong enough to take down Sally, thankfully. Dusclops did heal a little using its Citrus Berry, but the burn effect took its health back down to orange. We were then able to end this with a Flamethrower. Next up was Sableye, so I decided to switch to Jellybean as the safest option. I used Surf, which nearly took Sableye out, but I was confident using Ice Beam next would end this battle, so that was what I did. With Bayonet next, I really thought Surf would get the job done, but not quite. Unfortunately, this meant Phoebe was able to fully heal Bayonet. I used Ice Beam next just to make sure I was able to get it down to just over orange, so that I could end it off easily with a second Ice Beam. With Phoebe defeated, we move on to the third Elite Four, Glacia. I decided to lead off with Sally for the obvious type advantage. Glalie outsped Sally and used Light Screen. I have a feeling that was the reason Sally's Flamethrower wasn't really able to one-shot Glalie. I knew Glacia was gonna heal up, so I decided to use Rock Slide to try to get it under orange. It worked like a charm, and while Glalie was able to get in an Ice Beam, I was able to end it with a second Rock Slide. Next up was Celio. I was debating between Brocktree and Tempeh, but decided to try Brocktree out in the hopes that his Thunderbolt is able to cripple it. Sadly, not quite. I do blame the light screen effect though. Celio used Hail, which was kinda annoying on my Pokemon. I tried to rely on Brocktree's Stab Slash, but it did similar damage to Thunderbolt. Celio then used Surf, which was scary, but luckily, Brocktree tanked that. Finally, the light screen effect wore off, which allowed Brocktree to end the battle with his Thunderbolt. Another Celio. I was confident Brocktree could fight this, so I used Thunderbolt. Alas, the Celio may have been much more bulky, so it barely did half damage. It landed a Blizzard, which Brocktree miraculously survived with 1 HP. But sadly, with the hail going on, this took Brocktree down. I decided to get Jellybean out knowing Celio wouldn't be able to do much to her. I used Sludge Bomb in the hopes of getting Celio poisoned, and it worked. Celia landed yet another blizzard, which did nothing to Jellybean, but got her frozen, damn it. I swear, this Celio has some hex magic going on, and it was able to land another blizzard, which is so stupid. Luckily, the poison took it out. Since Jellybean was still frozen, I had to switch her out. Next up was Glalie anyway, so I was confident that Sally could handle this. The Glalie did land a hail, but at least Sally was able to take it down with a single flamethrower. Next was Walrein, and I thought it'd be interesting to bring Gumball out since I could potentially make use of his color change ability. Walrein was able to land a blizzard, which was ideal since I needed this for Gumball to turn into an ice type. Not ideal that Gumball got frozen, but at least he defrosted immediately, which allowed him to use ancient power. It very nearly took Walrein out, but at least the hail effect didn't affect Gumball, which is what I wanted. Walrein's surf was a bit scary, but Gumball held his ground, and with that was able to take Walrein down with a final ancient power. The final Elite Four was Drake, and this is very much going to be Tentacruel's moment to dazzle. With Shelgon being the first Pokemon, I used Ice Beam, which unfortunately didn't take it out completely, allowing Drake to use a full restore. With that, I used Thief to weaken it a little and then finishing it off with an Ice Beam. Next was Flygon, and with its 4 times weakness against ice types, I was confident Jellybean's Ice Beam would one-shot this. I suppose Drake just wanted to rip the band-aid off, so he sent out his second Flygon to get this done and over with. Next up was Altaria. Now, this was probably the dumbest decision I made. I tried to be innovative and thought Brocktree would be able to take it down with his Thunderbolt, because I thought Altaria was weak against electric type, but clearly I was wrong. Altaria completely tanked that, and so I went with Slash next, hoping it would do something. It made the same minimal damage, and Altaria's second Dragon Breath also managed to paralyze Brocktree. I didn't want Altaria hitting anyone else, so I decided to just use Brocktree as a gambit. Unfortunately, Altaria decided to pull Dragon Dance, which can be real trouble. I was hoping for this Thunderbolt to end Altaria once and for all, but it was probably too much to ask for. Drake was then able to fully heal Altaria, and we were back to square one. With Brocktree's heroic sacrifice, I realized I didn't want to waste any more time, so I simply switched to Jellybean to finish this battle off with an Ice Beam. Drake's last Pokemon was Salamence, and it was once again an easy shot with Jellybean's Ice Beam. This battle could have gone so much quicker if I had just left Jellybean on the field, but hey, I wanted to see Brockstree's potential too, and he definitely gave his best shot. Finally, it was time to take on Steven the Champion. I remember as a kid, he always led off with Skarmory, so I decided to lead with Sally. Unfortunately, since Skarmory outspeeds, it was able to land spikes, but at least Sally made a clean shot with her powerful flamethrower. I realized Beetroot hadn't made an appearance at all, so I thought this was his chance to shine. With Aggron as the next opponent, Beetroot was able to bring it down with a single surf. Next up was Cradily, which I believe to be one of the few threats to my team. I feel like the only Pokemon Cradily can't really touch is Jellybean, since she can withhold any grass or rock type moves well. I let off with Sludge Bomb in the hopes of poisoning it, but that didn't work. Cradily used Ancient Power, which luckily doesn't do much damage. I then used Surf to scope out exactly how much damage that would cause. Seeing as it wasn't enough for a final Surf, I decided to use Thief before finally ending it with a second Surf. With Claydol next, I really thought Jellybean could one-shot it with Surf, but we were so close. That allowed Claydol to pull off a super effective Earthquake, which sadly took Jellybean down. I decided to bring out Tempeh next because she hasn't really had that much of a spotlight. It was a lot of repetition with Magical Leaf and Claydol pulling off Light Screen and Reflect, which increased the team's defense and special defense. Finally though, Tempeh was able to bring it down with a final Magical Leaf. We got there in the end. Next up was Armaldo. This would be another good opportunity for Beetroot to come in with a kill. Since Claydol's Light Screen was still in effect, Beetroot's Surf didn't do as much damage as we hoped for, but once the effect wore off, it took Armaldo down immediately. It was time for the final boss fight, the champion's prized Metagross. Since Beetroot was timid, he was able to outspeed Metagross. We used Surf, and it got Metagross down to just under half damage. Metagross's power was indeed terrifying. Its Earthquake was able to easily one-shot my slightly weakened Swampert. The only Pokemon I really thought was viable against this match was none other than Sally the Camerad. The responsibility now rests on her humps. As with most Pokemon, Metagross outsped Camerad and was able to use Earthquake. It was super effective, and definitely a nail-biting moment for us. But with a stroke of luck, Sally survived with just 3 HP remaining. And with that, she was able to pull off her super effective charcoal-boosted Flamethrower to defeat Metagross and win us the new champion title. It was such a huge relief, and we were all so glad we were able to pull through at the last minute. Before we went into the champion hall, we were met with Brendan and Professor Birch, who proceeded to roast my lack of Pokédex entries. That's just what happens when you focus too much on shiny hunting, sadly. And with that, my shiny team was officially logged. We have Sally the Camerad, one of my longest shiny hunts to date, and the one who brought the champion's final Pokemon down. Gumball the Kecleon, one of the hardest hitters of the team and who has proven that size does not matter. Beetroot the Swampert, the one who started it all, the symbol of my dream team quest by being the first shiny team member. Tempeh the Tropius, the rarest shiny of my team and a reclaim I will forever treasure. Brocktree the Linoon, my versatile fighter, who always stands his ground no matter how hard the battle may be. Finally, we have Jellybean the Tentacruel, the last shiny team member whose amazing power simply cannot be understated, seeing as how much she carried us through the Elite Four. This team in particular is one I will cherish forever. Pokemon Ruby holds a very special place in my heart. It's the first ever Pokemon game given to me as a kid, the first ever Pokemon game I played. Being able to replay this game now as an adult with a team filled with my favorite Pokemon is such a glorious and special feeling. I'm looking forward to coming back to this game in the near future to develop my team further, complete personal side quests, as well as look back on my journal entries to see just how much I've grown as a shiny hunter. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.